Howdy everybody, how y'all doing? And welcome to the Ice House, where we try to keep things cool, calm, collected, and mostly a bit chill. And well, I would say that finally, this last week has been, well, a little bit more chill than most of January. Ironically, now that January is over, right? So that's kind of exciting that at least time is going forward, right? And well, it's like I said on Tuesday during my penguin positivity note that I really am. I'm looking forward to spring, right? I don't always look forward to spring, but this winter has been kind of cold, kind of harsh, and rough for a lot of us. And like I was saying on Tuesday, is that, well, I know that, you know, all the fires in California, and there's been a lot of devastation, right? And well, all of the hurricanes and still ongoing relief from, you know, last fall, right? That the mantra of "we will rebuild" is definitely on people's hearts, tongues, and minds, right? Because, well, there's a lot of brick and mortar. There's a lot of, well, substantial buildings, framework, right? And I'm not talking metaphorically, like real structures for houses and, you know, storing and protecting people and goods and property and all that stuff, right? I mean, those are you look at the hierarchy of needs, and having a shelter, well, it's pretty important, right? So I don't want to discount the importance of rebuilding at all, because, well, we use that term a lot for obvious reasons. But I do think this whole idea of regrowing something, well, is also kind of important, because, I mean, there's a lot of structures, like a building, like I said, like a house, like a high rise, or things like that, and, you know, concrete and pavement, right? Those are things that have to be constructed, have to be built, right? And they make life easier. But those aren't living beings, right? But when it comes to, well, us, you and me, all the people out there who've been affected by all of this, right? They've, and honestly, unfortunately, there has been loss of life, which has been terrible and sad, right? And I don't want to gloss over at that. But for those of us that are still alive and have endured through something as tragic or horrific, or maybe something that's maybe not quite as devastating, but still rough, right? The point is we're still alive, right? The point is that even if some branches have been cut, or we've lost some limbs, metaphorically or actually, right? And we still can, well, we still can continue on, and as long as there's still life left in the person, in the tree, in the plant, right? We all have the ability to continue growing. Now, I know that humans don't have the ability to regrow an actual limb, but we definitely have a lot more advancements in science that allow for certain things like bones to be regrown in ways that we didn't have before, right? So, as long as the system is functioning, there's a heart beating, there's a, you know, life running through the veins, we have the ability to grow and endure, right? Not to stay stagnant, not to stay the same thing that we were, you know, when the tragedy or something, you know, the disconnect happened or the loss happened, right? We get to continue on being ourselves and learning what that is, because, I mean, the truth be told, we don't have to go through anything terribly dramatic to realize that, well, we as people we grow, right? Because, I mean, if, say like when you get to your high school graduation, you think back to yourself and you say, wow, just think of who I was when I started high school. The clothes I wore, the people I hung out with, just the things I listened to, like all my, all your trends, all your sort of, you've definitely developed more into who you are and who you want to be. Now, if you go off to college, right, whether it takes you 4, 6, 8 years, or if you do a trade school, 4 to 6 years after high school, you can look back and say, hey, I've done some schooling, or I went off into the work world, and man, I am not the same person that I was back then. How did I make those choices, or why did I think that was cool, right? We have those fun conversations about reflection, and sometimes remiss at some of our choices that we made back then or in the in-between times, right? And hopefully we're learning and growing as we go. So it doesn't take something horrible for us to realize that we're always growing and changing, and that there's always that spark and that drive inside of us to figure out what we need and how to figure out how we go forward and be true to ourselves, but also be honest with the people that are around us and surround ourselves with people that help us work towards the drive and the goal that we want. And I think there's something definitely truth about being part of a group, or I know some people frown on the word community, some people say fellowship, but the whole idea that it's hard to do this alone, and it's not good to be alone, right? Like one of the things I like to point out often is that penguins are very social and communal animals. I mean, not just for the fact that the prodigal waterler can go off and freeze to death, right? There, I said it. But also, just, it's fun to be around people and penguins that you enjoy, that you can connect with, that you can just, have a lot of mutually beneficial goals, right? And mutually beneficial, drives to help building each other up and spurring each other onward. Which, I mean, it's probably a lot why there's so many of us that have, I wouldn't say retreated, because that's not the actual really term for it anymore, but we've been driven to go to online communities and online friendships because maybe the people in our local town, or it's harder to find like-minded people, but it's important to have real people in your life too, right? Because the parasocial network, it allows you to be honest and real to a certain extent, but when you're hanging out with somebody like family or people you've known for years in real life, you can't hide all those little things, and sometimes it's fun to be seen and to be known by somebody that has been by your side for so many years and will continue to be so, right? So, like I said, the whole point I want to make is that, growth and regrowth is really part of our whole essence and nature and being, right? Because there's been plenty of times that whatever catalyst it is gets us kind of out of our social comfort zone, out of our autopilot trajectory, and we decide that this doesn't work. Something isn't right, and maybe it worked for a while, or maybe a temporary solution turned into a permanent solution that we've just been coping forward with, when really it should have and could have been a stepping stone to help us on our journey, right? I mean, there's so many times that in the fantasy story of some people going on a journey or to a faraway land, that every now and then people will stop and stay because, well, this is good, right? I don't need to go on this trajectory because I found what I was looking for, right? I went on a journey and I found the place I want to stay, to settle down, and to build something on, right? Because, well, we learn as we go what's important and our priorities. And we find different groups and different people to connect with. I mean, ever is the ever-changing landscape. There's another plane reference that we kind of live in and move around in. And just like each year that, you know, some of those business plazas downtown in your local city, right, or town, especially the big cities, you see gardeners and people out there all the time. They're changing up the plants, changing up decoration, making sure it's seasonally, you know, inviting, really showcasing, you know, the local flair and all that jazz. So, yeah, I think building things is important, and building a legacy and building a channel, right? But also there are times when, whether it be our own flaws, our own mistakes, whether it be you know, the powers that be decide that they don't approve of what we've been doing and we have to start over or start fresh. You know, sometimes it's not self-pruning, it's certain choices that we've made or choices that somebody else has made that retroactively makes us wish we had made different choices before we got here, but there's nothing you can do about it now, right? You gotta stay true to yourself. So, what happens when life kind of doesn't want to go your way? Well, you can rebuild, you can regrow, and sometimes, like I said, if you've had gone through one of those unwilling prunings, that you can rebuild and regrow and, well, decide where you want to go next. Because, like I said, we're all growing and we're all changing and we're all trying to figure out, is this where we stick around, or do we keep going in a new direction or the same direction? Like, every answer and every step just begs the question of what's next. So, I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this pandering ponderance, and, you know, hopefully that you're excited for what the spring may hold. And, you know, if you've somebody that's been dealing with a lot of these devastating tragedies, that, I mean, some of that stuff is clear cut where your nearsighted plans are, right? But at the same time, remember, you get a chance to continue to growing and become something, right? And I know that's not always easy to do when life was good and then it got taken away. So, well, I don't want to leave this on a Debbie Downer, right? The point I'm trying to make is that there's always, as long as there's a spark of life, as long as there's a drive, as long as there's reason to keep going and we haven't given up yet, who knows where we can grow into and become, right? And who might be there along the way. And the only way to find out is to keep going and growing. So, with that encouragement, I hope that if you guys have any thoughts or comments, you can leave them down below. Like and subscribe and share it out if you want. Yeah, I'll be here chilling, waddling, and pondering. So, until next time, see you later. Bye!